Each November on a warm desert night, thousands of people gather in the small downtown of Tucson, Arizona for a ritualistic and participatory event known as the All Souls Procession. Hundreds of the participants create and carry memorials to the procession, which is billed as a celebration and mourning of the lives of our loved ones who have passed. Participants craft for weeks, if not months, beforehand at local makerspaces, backyards, and dining room tables, all in preparation for this public display of memory. Some participants build transportable memorials connected to bicycles, cars, and backpacks. Others decoupage photographs of deceased loved ones to painted cardboard boxes. Collectives construct floats and a fiery metal urn for the ritual burning of participants' intimate memories, handwritten on scraps of paper. The procession is a chaotic, swirling mass of objects, colors, scents, and human bodies pushing against each other. And yet a constant thematic thread weaving throughout the event is references to Mexican Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead traditions. Nearly all of the participants and onlookers are painted as calavera skulls, their stark white faces and black-rimmed eyes floating through the dark streets. There is an abundance of orange-hued marigolds and ofrendas, altars at every turn, and the earthy scent of burning sage wafts in and out of the crowds. The Borderlands nature of the All Souls Procession is undeniable to those present, and yet it is contested. While the procession has drawn criticism for the cultural appropriation embedded in many of its crafting practices, its stakeholders are hesitant to acknowledge a meaningful connection to Dia de los Muertos as they frame the procession as an authentic multicultural event. As local graduate students and first-time participants in the procession, we were both moved by the performances and technologies of memorialization that surrounded us.
To better understand both the imprint and erasure of Dia de los Muertos craft practices at the All Souls Procession, we began to unravel the histories informing both Dia de los Muertos and the All Souls Procession. While numerous non-Western cultures are integrated into the procession's craft and rituals, including African and Japanese practices, we chose to focus on Dia de los Muertos traditions because of the predominance of associated imagery at the event, as well as the All Souls Procession's presence in the U.S.-Mexico borderlands. The histories of Dia de los Muertos and the All Souls Procession reveal that both practices were rhetorically crafted through the transcultural exchange of objects, rituals, and spiritualities brought by colonialism and globalization. As we explain, Dia de los Muertos was crafted by indigenous peoples after the Spanish conquest to subversively retain indigenous cultural memory and, in turn, creatively resist total domination. The ritual objects, textiles, and performances of Dia de los Muertos facilitated the transmission of indigenous cultural memory alongside the Catholic and colonial influences that threatened their erasure. In the present, Dia de los Muertos memorial practices engender a third space where Latino people, past and present, can perform and transmit cultural memory. Alternatively, the All Souls Procession's self-representation of its history reveals a simultaneous appropriation and erasure of Latino cultural influence. To understand the history of the All Souls Procession, we turned to the history and FAQ sections of their official website. In their self-representation, we noticed a peculiar relationship with Dia de los Muertos. Its creators simultaneously draw upon and push away from Day of the Dead traditions. The history page states that the procession began, quote, in 1990 with a ritualistic performance piece created by local artist Susan Johnson, who was grieving the passing of her father. It acknowledges that she was, quote, first inspired by Mexico's Dia de los Muertos holiday. And yet, these origins are erased on the FAQ page, where it is written that the artist who founded the procession, quote, kept making up new traditions. To us, this disavowal of a connection to Dia de los Muertos, along with the claims about making up traditions while being inspired by many cultures, seemed like an act of Columbusing.
Through our multimodal remixing of histories, we posit that violent cultural erasure can and does occur alongside rich cultural exchange. Ultimately, we contend that a critical and self aware engagement with histories, personal, cultural, and national, is a crucial step towards reworking social realities.